and just have them between 2 to begin with. So if we just share them to start with, then everyone will get one. What you're going to get, for now I'm afraid, sorry, it doesn't seem to be quite enough. I'll go back a little bit, excuse me. What you're going to get is all of these characteristics on a checklist. It's a 2-sided piece of paper, and it asks you to look at your school now and say whether, take point 1, you think that's a strong feature of your school now, or it's a weak feature of your school now. So it does happen, but not very much, or really it does not apply to your school. Okay? So you start off by just doing a little bit of critique of your current school. When you've had a few minutes to do that, so I'm going to stop talking, then you're going to identify which group you want to be in, and we're going to organise the room. Thank you very much. Okay, everyone, just pause for a minute. If you haven't quite finished, that's fine. I've learned some really useful things in my 5 minutes walking around. I've learned the obvious thing. When you got strong or weak, people want to put it in the middle. That's fine, because what it means is think, well, I couldn't quite say it's strong, but I couldn't say it's very weak either, so it's kind of, it's moving, which is a sign that the Beaconhouse system is encouraging these things, okay? But around the room, there's varieties of very strong, very weak in the middle. So as a large group, there are definite differences, as you would expect. Several questions were, well, what do you mean by this or that? Do you mean that we would really decide to do this? And this is what a school-based learning community would be like. Now, each teacher would have a voice. I think I've had 3 questions about the career thing, and that's been quite interesting. May I just illustrate this? People saying, but what you're saying, that if I wanted to leave Beaconhouse, they would encourage me to leave. I'm saying, no. I'm saying, if you're thinking about the fact you might either want to or need to leave, they would say, okay, how can we help you move on? That you would not be afraid to ask that question. Or, if there's a new policy coming down from Beaconhouse, which is about, we've done some recent work, we've done some recent research, and we want you now to implement it, that people in the school would say, hang on a minute, we want to think about that. That the school would have some power to say, we're not ready for that change, or if we're going to do it, we have a clear vision of how it would work in this school. That's where you see a real school-based learning community. It is a powerful group of people. They've got differences, and they will argue, but they'll be open about it, and they'll be seeking new ways to learn whenever they can. And those will come from the group, not just from outside. This was the easy bit. Now it's up to you what you want to spend some time on today. This is a really important bit of the learning for today. It's not about me, it's about you choosing what you want to focus on. I've got 4 suggestions, okay, for focus, but you may well have your own. Okay, so these are my 4 suggestions, that's all they are. To be in a group and talk about developing teachers in your school. What kind of ideas have you got, have you learnt from around, that would help your school be a school-based learning community for the teachers? You know, ways of observing each other, supporting each other, disseminating ideas. Focus on yourselves as teachers, that's one. The second would be about the idea of school policies and how you might want to look at how you can make your school change, where you've got ideas about what policy should be in relation to children or learning or curriculum aspects or assessment. So you'd like to be in a group to talk about schools as policy making, is when you make a big decision as a big staff. A lot of people are becoming more and more interested in the idea of doing research in your own classroom, teacher research, action research, and you might just want to be in a group and talk about your experience of it, what the benefits are, what the disadvantages are. There are some ethical issues about researching your own classroom and your own children, which are also interesting to talk about. And as I said at the beginning, one of the things which is becoming quite developed in some countries is more encouragement for students to have a voice in that school-based learning community. They've got lots of ideas, lots of perspectives. How could you in your school develop more attention to student voice in a positive way? Like I'm talking about positive critique. We can all have a moan and a whine and complain. You're going to treat students as people who are serious about learning and about influencing the learning and the curriculum in their school. And the other groups are, I don't know, what are they? The really tricky thing is going to be physically getting from where you are to a group you want to be in. So, I'm going to make a couple of suggestions, but before I do, I'm going to first of all ask if there are any suggestions for other groups. Now, the only way that will work with people being honest is if I stop talking for 2 minutes, ask you to turn to your neighbour and talk for a couple of minutes about whether any of the groups I've pointed out, the first 4, are a group you want to be in, or whether you've got an idea for another group. You're going to spend 30 minutes in that group. It's a long time, and you're going to talk honestly about whatever topic you focus on, and you're going to share as many ideas as you can. And at the very end of the session, we'll just listen to what's come up. Because in a school-based learning community, we listen most of the time to other people's ideas. So again, I'm not going to be leading the end, I'm just going to listen to what you have to say. So 2 minutes to chat to your neighbours about what group you'd like to be in, or groups you'd like to be in, and we'll see if we can work that out in the next 5 minutes. All right? Over to you again. Just going to put the names of the groups up again in case you want them. So group 1 would be developing teachers. Group 2 would be changing school policies. Teacher research, or student voice and engagement, or ideas of your own. Okay, back to you to talk. Okay, this is it. 2 points before we make our final moves. First of all, it would be very good if you're in a group with a range of teachers. If there's 1 or 2 from your school, that would be fine. If everyone's from your school, that would be not a great idea today, because you won't get the ideas from other schools that will be useful. If that happens to be what happens, okay. Preferably, I think you want a mixed group, of at least yourself, and then if there's no one else from your school, that's fine. If there's 2 or 3 from your school, that's fine. If it's everybody from your school, you might as well go home, if you see what I mean. Second thing, if you look at the screen for a moment, there's not an agenda for the topic. There's a sort of overview for what you perhaps might use, which will stay up now on the screen. All right, I'll give out the overheads as well in a minute. You know, who are we? You know, where we all come from? What are we all doing here? What is the situation in my school about teacher development? You know, what kind of? If I'm not then at school, but in an organisation, what's it doing? What is important about our topic? Let's be clear about what things matter to us. What do we want to focus on? And what are the issues about that? You know, there's always issues of resource, of time, of other expertise you might want to bring in. So what are the issues around moving that area forward? And what do we know about best practice already from each other and from what we've read and what other teachers have said to us, maybe from the conference? Things have come forward already about what good best practice might be like. What do we do then? When we go back to school, what are we proposing I will do, you will do, to sort of help this area move forward? And finally, we'll want to hear from around the room, from each group perhaps, but then from 1 or 2 individuals, you know, what sort of things have come up? You may not have got a magic bullet solution to anything, but if you talked about the process of change and feeling more like a learning community, that will be enough. But it'd be good to hear what you feel about what you've learned from your conversations. All right, we'll try it like this first of all. Okay, if you'd like to be in the teacher development group or groups, I just want to get numbers. Put your hands up now. Give me a rough idea of how many. That's teacher development. All right, so teacher development will be on these 2 tables. Don't move yet. All right, well, we'll use these 2 tables for teacher development. Right, if you want to be in, I've forgotten what I said. Changing school policies. Okay. Changing school policies. Okay. Then you will use the table at the back. You'll break into 2 groups, I suspect, but we'll move in a minute. So that's 2 groups already. Teacher research. Be brave. 2, the 2's okay. That's okay. All right. Well, you can sit where you like, because there's only 3 of you, so you decide. Okay, that's teacher research. Student engagement, student voice. Yeah, 3 or 4? 4? Okay. Well, they'll be moving from that back table. So if you go to the very back table there. Now, this is the difficult bit. You have to remember which tables. Let's see if we can do it again. So teacher development was these 2, wasn't it? Yes. School policies was that one. Research was where you can stay there. Student voice somewhere at that back table. Now, is there a suggestion for another group? All right, 2 things then. In a minute, Everyone's going to stand up and move, and you'll be moving permanently. So take your stuff with you. It'll be chaotic, all right? It's going to be chaos. Health and safety, steady, all right? Settle down. Some groups will be quite big. You'll need to subdivide into either 2 groups or 3, depending. I don't know what the numbers will be. Let's try and get somewhere towards where we want to be, and then we'll sort it out. These are the very final words for me for the next 30 minutes. Up on the screen, I will leave the guidance. That's all it is. It's not a requirement. It's up to you. But it's guidance towards what you might do to get to know each other and start. If you want to be in a very large group, that's your decision. If you want to be in 2 smaller groups, that's your decision. Okay? There'll be less voice in a large group. That's inevitable, but you may find it more interesting. That's up to you. What is my job? I stay facilitator, so I will not interfere unless I'm asked. In other words, if you say, well, come and talk to us a bit more about teacher research or teacher development, I will simply do it at the point of your hand going up. Otherwise, I'm going to stay at the front and read a book. No, I'm not. I'm going to just be around, okay? And you've got 25 minutes, I would say, to have a good talk about it. Maybe 30, we'll see. The report back is less important, much less important than what you do now. Are there any final questions before you carry on? And thank you very much. Have a good conversation. I'd like to say I just wandered around, stayed in the background. I talked to 1 or 2 groups who had a question, how hard you were working, and that was the point of this workshop, was for you to have a chance to work with each other. I mean, it's been, I think, a very interesting conference, but you have an awful lot of sitting to do and listening. So it's great to see you in, as it were, the driving seat, talking about, hopefully, things you want to talk about and come into some new ideas. This won't be a very formal session, that's not the point. You don't need to go through as a group and answer all those questions about who we are and so on. What we're going to do is just take a bit of feedback from each group around the room, and then there may or may not be further discussion. We'll see. Okay? We've got about 15 minutes altogether. I think given that we're the furthest away from lunch, we better stop dead on time, if not before. It's been a long morning. So, we're going to start with the group at the back, the largest group, and someone's going to start off their response by just summing up a little bit about their conversation.
It's basically top-down, and we are thinking of having it as bottom-up. A little bit of pyramid I made, like from the top management, the policy is coming right now, but the major and the most number of participants or in our schools are the students, then the parents, teachers, trainers, and the top management. So instead of having the policies coming top down, we have decided to build a culture where everyone is involved. Everyone involved, like making a web. It's not going to be like coming in a flow. It's everybody putting input from all the sides. So students giving feedback about the curriculum basically to the teacher, the parents giving it to the teachers, the management talk to the government also even, because some of the policies need to be confirmed from the government, the society, everybody. This means that we are involving everyone to build up a culture, then to decide upon the change in the policy we need. So that, for that, we need to have channels of communication between all these sectors to have some suggestions and to bring a change in the curriculum and the policies. This can be like, if we talk about only the curriculum, there are issues